Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is Jim Johnson, your host here with Contractor Radio and the head coach at Contractor Coach Pro, where we help contractors get control of their business so they can grow their business and achieve that lifestyle and personal freedom and financial freedom they were chasing when they started their business. Today is going to be a show of miracles. It is something that I've wanted to have this guy on for a while, but I waited intentionally for this particular time and place to do so. We're doing our Contractor Summer Series. This guy is an amazing individual who runs an amazing business, and he's got unbelievable talent that steps in and fills the gaps. It is my honor to have on our show today from Shamrock Roofing, Garen Armstrong. What's going on, man? It's good to have you.
Jim, it's great to be here. It's always great to be in your presence. It really is.
Well, we'll get to the story of like how we met and what all went down there at some point. But just so all the listeners know who you are and a little bit of your story, like how'd you get into this home services, construction, roofing thing? And just kind of bring us up to speed with where you are today.
Sure. Garen Armstrong, Shamrock Roofing and Construction. And I got into it when my dad was started in 1977, but it was a side thing. It wasn't his main deal. And but anyway, when I worked doing that growing up, but I did not want to do that, all my life. So it's hard work. And anyhow, I wanted to sit behind a desk or do finance or something like that. Long story short, I went and did that for a minute, and then it didn't work out. My dad got sick, and so I got back into the business to help him. And it's been a whole change since helping him back in the day versus what it looks like now in regards to the business, the size of the business, everything about the business.
So were you guys like sell it and install it too? Like you actually did the work?
Oh, that's all we did was the work.
Like you're on the roof, right? Like you're tearing stuff off.
Yes, absolutely. Kind of yes.
You hear this term for those kinds of companies, right? Like chucking the truck, Pete in the pickup, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how it started? No,
it was more started with my dad and his friends and uncles and and a side thing. It wasn't just roofing. It was electrical. It was, framing. It was everything, plumbing, construction, everything. And so
everything from building a house to putting a roof on.
Yes, from putting a roof on. And so then, it was doing too many things, right? Because of all of those. We basically honed them down to, roofing. Before we did roofing, deck, everything. We even did government contract work, but we had to stop. We didn't have to. Once we stopped the government contract work, once we stopped doing all of the other things, and once we focused on roofing and gutters, then we started growing like wildfire.
Okay, so you trim down all the offerings to what made you trim them down first? Like, and how'd you decide which ones?
There was too many distractions with them all, and it was too difficult to train your sales guys, your estimators on multiple things. You chase two rabbits, both will escape. And so once we honed in on the largest ticket item, most profitable item, is how we chose to answer the question. And then we was able to scale from there.
It's actually pretty smart. Like, I think a lot of people, they find fear in that. Like, hey, there's a job I could go do if I just go take it, right? And so you're now saying no to things that you would have done before, and this fear of being able to fill it with just a little bit of the stuff that you were doing before. How did you overcome that?
It's a real fear, and it did impact our revenue and our numbers, but we planned for it. I talked to it with my controller, my CFO, let them know that was the plan. And, we just financial modeled it with the increase of the roofing sales, and just the effort And we ended up even beating our effort with just the roofing sales, because it's such a distraction when you've got so much going on. There's something about being able to have, a singularity of focus.
Yeah. One of the things I love about it is how you can market it. It's hard to market "we do it all," right? It's hard to market like I'm a general contractor, and what does that mean? And there's variations of, commercial general contractor, home general, like there's all that stuff. But if you can say, "Hey, I do roofing," you can be very specific in your marketing to people that actually want what it is that you do. Did you guys like click to that right away? Like that was part of the thought process, or did you come across that or learn that later?
I learned that later.
Okay. It does make it easier. Would you agree?
It makes things easier. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's one of the things whenever we're coaching, we look at a contractor and they're like, they do everything, roofing, siding, gutters, windows, screens, combing AC, all of it. And we're like, okay, which ones are the most profitable? Which ones give you the most grief? Let's get rid of the ones that give you grief. Let's focus on these 2 or 3 and then market those two or 3 specifically. And it goes pretty well normally. And you can systematize it then. You can scale it then.
Yes.
Is it down to just roofing now, or do you do a couple of other things too?
We do. We'll do siding, and we'll do, interior. We don't advertise it. And it's one of those things that if there's a client, it's a big client, and they want it all done to get all, they want it all encompassing, we can do it. I'm a Class A general contractor, can build bridges and skyscrapers in 48 states. So we can, but we try not to.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. As you transitioned from do it all with Dad, and then you're transitioning now to keeping it down to 2 or 3 things that we do really great. What were the biggest obstacles? Did you start to become the leader of the business? Was Dad still the leader of the business? Was there any friction there? What happened there?
So no, what had happened there was he and I had left the business when I was younger. And so I then was helping consulting I had a finance background and software, built a software and sold the Department of Defense. It's another story. It wasn't a home run. It was more like a single, like I bought it and beat out a single. So it sounds cool, but it really wasn't cool. And I was like, okay, I'm around with a bunch of very smart, passive aggressive people all the time, in technology. And I'm like, I really like the construction thing, construction management aspect of everything, but, maybe I'll try this, but I want to try something different. Growing up in the business, I had my dad's friends that, they have businesses and everyone else. So I could easily gotten a job back in construction in any other multitude of business. I answered an ad out of a Craigslist because I didn't want to do that. I wanted to learn something completely different to see what you could do. Long story short, I was out an ad from a company local, said they were local, but they were out of Texas. And that was a project manager job. And they gave me a stack of cards and they said, go knock these doors. I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah. What did I get myself into? Yeah.
What did I get myself into? And I'm like, okay, well, I see other people that are successful doing this. So I'm just going to see what this is about. And I was really weird at first because I'm used to being in boardrooms and I'm used to being, so I had to really check my ego at the door, like what, and then it was at the
boardroom to door sales guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but then it was fun because I could just sit there and freestyle with people and talk to people and help people. So I like that aspect of it. But immediately I'm starting to analyze, his business and business processes and systems, the guy I went to work for. And I'm like, oh, this is, I see what's up. But what I learned from that was I learned the insurance side of things. That's what I didn't have with my dad's business. It was chuck and a truck side hustle business. You know what I mean? Just,
right.
Growing up and, that's what you learn. So that's what we did. So that's my story of how I got into this, and then to move forward. Then my dad got sick, and then I came back and helped take Shamrock, learned what I've learned in the insurance side of business with construction management, class general contractor license, and then what my dad taught me with work ethic and everything else. Then all of those things combined, and what I've learned in the sale with the Department of Defense and the other deals. So there was a combination of things that I learned that was able to help me take this over after my dad got cancer and passed away, that I was able to take it Shamrock and grow it to this level.
So give us a little bit of growth patterns. Like, how long have you been running Shamrock, and what does that look like over time?
I've been growing it since 2017. My dad passed away in 2016. It took a little, time, mourning, getting everything together. In the fall of 2016 is really kind of when everything started to come together, and then 2017. So 2017, it was really 3 million. 2018, that's when I had this. I got the infection in my heart, and I had to go get this heart pump put in, which is, we can talk about, that was in 2018, and we had 3 million. After that, it was 7, 15, 25, 32, and we're hitting 30, 38 to 40 this year.
Wow. That's some pretty exponential growth. And you alluded to it just for a second there. This is the part I really want to talk about, because I see a lot of guys that there's nothing in their way. It's just hard work is what's in their way. You alluded to got a heart pump put in 2018. Is that right?
Yes, 2018.
So this is 2 years after your father had passed. Obviously, there's probably some concern there, right? Like, now we're thinking all kinds of other things.
Yes.
And this business is now just starting to take off. How did you manage that?
Well, back up a little bit. I was working a hotel that burnt down, and I was breathing in this char, and the char went to it gave me a sinus infection that went to my heart, and my heart went bad in 45 days. In 45 days, it went so bad that I code blue. I got dizzy on the way to the hospital, and on the hospital, they code blue me, and it was immediately, I was in the surgery room, and they were opening me up. It was so bad. They kept me, did more tests on me, and then they had to cut me open and put a heart pump in me, which is the HeartMate 3, is the first one in Kansas City. And it's just a flow that will keeps your blood flow, so I keep my organs alive, because my heart was so bad. I was on the list to get a transplant or live with that. At that time, I had to heal enough still to be able to receive a heart transplant. And because I'm a O positive blood, I can give to A's and I can give to B's, but O's can only accept O's. So the wait time was longer, and it was during COVID. And so I ended up spending 3 years waiting for a heart, just shy of 3 years. But to even back that story up, while I had the HeartMate 3, I was living on batteries. I wear, Under Armour football pants so I can tuck the batteries in my jeans, put jeans on, because otherwise they want you to wear this vest and look like a goober. And I still wanted to have some swag, So,
yeah, look good while we're at it, right?
Yeah. And so I put these, and they look like, it was it had hips, but it worked. And I was able to tuck the wires in there, because I had a wire hanging out of my side here. And I was able to go to work. So I was able to go to work with these batteries hanging out of me, and this heart pump. And so I showed up. I kept going. But during that time, the business was just start up, taking over and was going. And then I got sick. And then a lot of the team, absent a leader, they leave. So they left. But the people that stepped up who are here today have really grown personally, grown the business, grown so much. Every person, everybody, myself included, all of us. And it's, we really, through this journey, had just locked arms and marched forward together. And then, when I'm gone, I'm in the hospital, they're able to, just keep things going. It's just keep it moving forward. Because after I had the heart pump, I was working and I was throwing some shingles, and I ended up ripping the heart pump out of my heart. And so the blood was filled up my pleural sac that holds the lungs. It filled up. Your body has 7 liters of blood. It had filled up 3 liters. It was pushing my lung up. So I had to go back in, have another surgery to sew the pump in and drain all the blood out of my lung and everything. And then during that surgery, it saved my life again. Same surgeon. Then. But during that time, it got infected, and the infection is ultimately what was killing me faster than the heart pump because of just the infection around the metal, around the heart. It was bad, so I had to have a couple surgeries in that time to have all that cleaned out. But to the point, finally, I was in ICU, dying. In 2020, in December of 2020. And it was just a real scary time there. And, not knowing whether, you're going to live, you're not. But it was, in retrospect, it was a great time. I learned so much from that time, reflecting in myself and in life, in my kids' lives, and in my family's life. And everything. So it was very, there's definitely the seed of equivalent benefit in going through an experience like that.
I really hate interrupting these videos, but I've got some important information for you. If you haven't tried out Atlas Shingles, you should, because they put you first as a contractor. They want to give you a competitive advantage out in the field so that you can win more sales and be more profitable. Check out Atlas in your local area, find your local rep, get hooked up with them today, and start making more money tomorrow. So what was the timing? Because I'm trying to think back now how long ago it was that I was there, but you had just come out of a surgery. Like you were just like, you weren't supposed to be at work at all. And I was there to do some sales training. You had a hailstorm or something happen the same day. It was just all these things going on at one time. Do you remember when it was?
It was 2022 or 21?
It was before that. It had to be 2021.
2021, then because I had my surgery, right, like in it was in 21. It wasn't 21.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a year since I had my correct. Right.
And I was in awe. I was sitting there going, dude, this guy just had a heart put in and he's like at work.
That's
and he's
right.
not supposed
That's
to
right.
be.
I was really fragile. I was just walking.
we could tell. And the thing I noticed as much as anything else was your team. Your team was, it's kind of like when you get forced into something, you rise to the occasion, right?
Yes.
It's what it struck me as with your team. So what it was, there was talent there, but they needed this opening for them to rise to the occasion. And now we don't suggest that anybody go get a heart transplant or anything like that to figure that out with their team. But would you say that that's a good thing for the team to create that type of situation where, hey, it's on you. You got to step up and do things. And is that a good suggestion, or would you say maybe not the way to go about things?
I think creating a succession planning at first, having everything set up, and then step back, in a short period, and then, come in, you're kind of there, and then step back for a longer period, that's what happened with our team, because there's so many different surgeries. The first time I was out, but I had my laptop, so I was able to answer questions. Right. It was the second time, it was like, oh, he's in the hospital again, but we know what we're doing. They got more confidence. And then the third time, it's like, oh, he's having another heart surgery, no big deal. By the fourth time, like, oh, he's just having his heart transplanted this time. It's no big deal. He's got this.
We'll see him in a few weeks. He'll be right back on. Yeah. So there's something to learn from that, like putting your team under the fire for a period of time to see what they rise to. That doesn't mean check out, right? Like that's not the thing. We got to come back in and like, hey, coach, and then give advice where advice is needed. But if they don't go through the experience, they don't ever grow into that position. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree. Because sometimes I find myself grooming or training somebody, and I put enough weight on them, and their knees start to break, and they just can't make it. No matter how much time I groom them, they're just something about them. Maybe they're not right for that position. So you need to make sure that you're, weight test your leaders or your team as you have out there.
Well, I see so many leaders that groom their team up. They're coaching them, they're teaching them, and they're like bringing them up. But they're always like a safety valve, right? There's a safety valve that you can rely on, and so they're empowered, but they're not autonomous, and that's a very different thing. And when you're autonomous, bad things happen. You got to make some decisions. There's nobody there to give you a backup. And I see so many owners not do that with their teams, not let them actually fail, not let them, we call it the figure it out factor, like go through that part of it, because that experience is so invaluable. Right. Because now they know, hey, I messed up and I would do it this way differently next time, or hot dang, I did that right. Good job.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a big takeaway from our conversation today. Like if you're sitting out there as an owner, if you're planning to get into a position where it's not running you every day and you're not in the day-to-day and you're not micromanaging, but you're macro-managing, you got to give your team the opportunity to rise to the occasion. Cut them loose, let them know, like set it up even. It's nice because you were able to go, hey, I got surgery coming up. See you later. Like, I'm out of here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's really like, I would imagine you were fairly cut off from any communication for a good bit of time.
I was, in the ICU for sure. And, especially during COVID, I couldn't even, one person in, that's it. So not to see my kids, but I was cut off. But as soon as I was able to get my phone, I was back on. So
yeah, that's the owner right there for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you're thinking about the next thing, right? Like that's what you're thinking about, and that's the way most visionary A-type owners think. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about what are some of the next things for Shamrock? Because you have put in a lot of processes and systems and platform type stuff to run your business very effectively and efficiently. Where are you headed with things?
So Shamrock is number 57 on the top 100 contractor, roofing contractors, and it's a platform now. That's good. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So, trying to break below 50 and grow as a platform. We are in 10 locations, and we are looking to still continue to open new locations, but we're also we have a power partner program, so we're looking to help other roofing contractors that are less than $10 million get on and grow using all of our processes of discounts, supplies, and shingles, and leads, and marketing, and everything else, as well as acquire other companies that are at least a 3 million or 3 to 2 million EBITDA, so that we can bring on and create a platform and continue to support and grow throughout the Midwest and South Central.
Okay. So what does that look like from when you say the word platform? It can mean a lot of things. It can mean like I got a software platform, or I've got these processes. What do you mean by that? Like, what are those like tangible benefits? Like, because if I'm running a roofing company and I'm doing, I don't know, $2 or $3 million, I'm doing okay financially, personally, if we run it halfway clean.
Right.
What's my incentive? Why would I jump into something like that?
The freedom to do more, the freedom to make more, the freedom to have, the economies of scale. I have, friends of mine who I've helped, they're doing 3 to 4 million and they're pulling their hair out, no life at all, chasing the money, chasing, everything else. Because 3 to 4 million, I mean, it's really not that much. It's a lot for a lot of people, but it's not much for a lot of people. And so but you are burning the candle at both ends, running with your hair on fire. And this gives you the ability to, the tangibles are what you're saving in your material supplies when you're cutting a huge percentage, off of what you're used to paying. The labor network of crews for every single style of roofing system, residential or commercial, as well as the leads. With Shamrock, our website is so much butt weight. No matter what market we move into, we can be in the top 10 fairly quickly in no time. And that's, I think, a lot of contractors have been kind of late to the game on that. I came in from a technology, background, from internet marketing, when before e-commerce was around, you had to write in your checks and mail them off. and to be a part of these, groups, I mean, I'm a dork, right? So I have fun geeking out with this stuff. And so I've been working, with this side of the business. And so the leads aspect is one thing. The systems and processes is another. So
I would think the been there, done that part might be really valuable. And it may not be just you, like whatever others that you've acquired. Like, it sounds like you are the guy that's figured out the whole marketing thing. I can generate leads all day long. That's not a big worry.
Right.
And you've got other talents, obviously, right? But this guy over here might be really good at customer experience and service and performing the work. And this guy over here might be really good at buying and getting the right prices. And when you put all those pieces together, the sum of the parts is greater as a whole.
Absolutely.
And are you seeing any of that?
Collaboration, absolutely. One firm we're looking at in Colorado is mainly commercial, but they're really good, and we do a lot of residential, maybe only 10% commercial. So that cross-pollination, that training from within, and we do a lot of commercial. There's not, at all of them, but it's great to learn from other people what works. And plus, when you're in that many different markets, there's a lot of different things in different markets, a lot of nuances about, codes, everything.
Every market, Colorado especially, with the codes, right? That's a elevation this and elevation that, right?
Right.
So why do you got a pretty good company, you're generating pretty awesome. Why do the merger acquisition pro contractor aspect of things, or power contractor, right? Why do this?
Great question. I could sit on the beach and rot. I've got 2 nice homes and a couple boats and all that stuff, but that doesn't make me happy at all. In fact, it brought me less joy. They told me when I was having the heart transplant that I needed to have less stress in my life. Go buy a boat and a house. So I go buy a house and a boat, and I'm sitting on the lake, and I'm like,
that seems more stressful. I have both of those things. They're both stressful.
Yeah. And so what I find brings me joy is being with everybody. When I get to go with the families of everybody that we're impacting and helping, that's a reason why I do it, why I help with Shamrock. The reason why I want to continue to grow the level that we're doing is because the space needs it, right? If you don't have a business person from an operator, a roofing operator helping grow the platform, and you just let all these other PE firms from outside of the industry that really don't know the industry, that aren't operators, that think they know best business practices because they're sitting behind a desk looking at financial models. Bad things happen when an industry gets ran by that. And so
when you let the bean counters run it, you're in trouble.
Right.
And so is the consumer, I think. I think the consumer is who pays the price on that whole deal.
Absolutely.
Oh, here I am interrupting you again, but this is an important message you do not want to miss because it's about AI. AI in sales. Could you imagine having every sales call recorded, analyzed, tell you what's winning, share it with everybody else so they can start winning? Everybody's closing percentages go through the roof. If you haven't heard of Rilla Voice, you need to. Go check out Rilla today in the comments below. So there's something about you that really stuck out to me that first time we met. And it is this passion. Like, you have this absolute passion for this business. You have a passion for growing your own business, but you also have a passion for the other guys out there. Where does that come from? Why that?
I think that after, this near-death experience, this new lease on life, it's all about helping people, and I just want to have an impact on everybody I touch going forward, because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I know everyone can say that we all get in a wreck on the way home, and that's true. But when you think about it for 3 years and deathbed, and you kind of live a little different, and I don't really even consider these other roofers my competition, or they're regular good guys that are just trying to put an honest living together and make a difference. And if I have had some success, I just want to share that to make their lives, so they can do something.
You're on a bit of a mission now. Like, hey man,
Right.
I could have been gone. Now
Right.
that I'm not gone, there's something bigger and more important for me to be doing. And I noticed that about you. And one of your initiatives, I know I'm going to get this wrong, but it has something to do with cars. Am I correct?
Yes. So for 20 years, I'm the vice president of Cars for Heroes, and we give 300 cars away a year to.
That's like one a week. That's one a day almost.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot, and it's so veterans and first responders, and then we do a Cars for Christmas, where we give cars to just everybody in the community that needs cars. Not everybody, about 15 to 20 cars on Christmas, and they're full of food and full of toys for the kids, because these stories are a mother who can't get her child to the chemo treatments. And so you're being able to give a car like that, they're just, these stories are tearjerkers, and to be able to impact that, it just gives you goosebumps. And I've been hosting it at Shamrock lately. And so that my other project managers, the people that work for Shamrock, can be the ones to give. And when they're able to pass the keys and help, it changes them, and you can see it, and they want to keep giving and helping. And so we did the cars thing at carsforheroes.org. And then I'm the chairman for the American Heart Association, and this is the 100 year. So it's the Centennial Heart Ball. And so what we're doing is something really cool for the 100 year. And let me explain this. So when I bought my building, Dimensional Innovations is the art place in town, and they're the ones that just did the Raider Stadium. They're really nice. Well, they try to tell me, they told me about this project, this Evel Knievel, this timeline, where you can see him where he jumped the Grand Canyon this time, and you can push a button and you can see his broken bones. And so it's super interactive, right? So I come up with this idea.
I remember watching that live.
Yeah.
By the way.
So they wanted to do this for my office from 1977, since the time, to a timeline around the office. I was like, no, not right now. And I said, but later. But now we got the 100 years Centennial for American Heart Association. So we're going to do from 1923, what kind of medicine and heart, they had then to, what it was like in the 1920s, the roaring 20s, and in the 30s, how did what was the AHA like in the 30s, 40s, and so on to the 100 years. And then, so this idea is now going to 130 markets nationwide. And then, so when you're walking through the ball, you can actually go through this entire experience of the 100 years of research and technology that it created and helped science along the way.
That's pretty cool. Is that a fundraiser? Is that what that's going to be?
American Heart Association, yes, it is the fundraiser, and that's the heart ball that basically celebrates the end of the year for the amount of money they've raised. And then each 130 city has their own, ball based on this. And so that program, well, the timeline to the entryway to the ball, something that I came up with, Tucker Trotter came up with together. So pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I don't know if I can make it to the ball, but if there's any way to donate or help or do any of that kind of stuff, let me know. Give me a link. We'll put the link in the show notes here, if there is such a thing. And we'll do what we can to, like, heart disease is one of the biggest killers in America, and it has so many different reasons. I mean, yours is obviously an anomaly. That's not something that you hear very often. Like, yeah, I breathed some stuff in and I kind of killed my heart.
Yeah.
That's not one you hear all the time, but there is, heart disease, there's chronic, there's acute, there's cholesterol, there's all these things that lead to it because of the lifestyles we lead, the things we eat, the things we drink, all that kind of stuff. Right.
Right.
And the lack of exercise. The world that we live in almost forces it. Like, sometimes we have to be behind a desk a lot to get our job done. And so when do we fit that stuff in? So if there's a way to help, send me a link and we'll step up a little bit and we'll see if we can get others to do so.
I will definitely.
So is it chairman of like the Kansas City or like chairman of the whole thing?
It's the chairman of the Kansas City.
That's cool, man. Yeah. You need another thing to do.
Right. I tell you that the philanthropy part of it and giving is, I really enjoy it, but it can be an addictive thing too, right? Like, the next thing the Boy Scouts are coming over and I'm helping them. And the next thing, someone else is coming over and I'm helping them. And I'm like, whoa, I've only got so much time and I got to focus. And those are all nonprofits. And what I focus on is that's what I get. So I'm like, look, I've got to focus on the business and I can help financially, instead of so much time, because that's one thing that I'm working, the balance.
Well, it's an incredible story. It really is, because of what you went through and you're still like doing it. And even in a more impactful way, like there's more to it now. There's more weight, I guess, or gravitas. Like it feels different for you, I would assume.
It does. And it just keeps, it gets better. The message becomes more on point as I've been talking to folks and I'm getting to speak at the Best of Success and talking with Jill and they're like, well, I tell my story. She's like, oh my gosh, well, which part of that do you want to talk about? I'm like, well, why don't you tell me which part of that you want to talk about? I'll be happy, because she's like, well, you only got 30 minutes. So, fine tuning that is one thing and sharing the message. But what it also does is it gravitates more people with the same mission, and together it's even becoming more powerful. And you're really meeting some like-minded folks that can really make change.
Well, excuse the pun, but you've really got a heart for it. You do.
Well, thank you.
It's pretty awesome. And the reason I wanted to have you on is I wanted other contractors to see that they've got obstacles too, right? We all do. We all got whatever crap going on in our world. But that was a pretty big obstacle. And you were able to overcome it, come out on top. I'm sure there's still things you got to do and deal with, but it's turned out okay. A lot of it is just because of that passion, this drive. There's a lot of experience that went into, you had to do these other things to get to this thing, but to stick with it, right? That's kind of the idea. no matter what the obstacles are.
It is, you only fail when you quit. And it was that perseverance that kept through this, because, there was a lot of times I did, you really do feel like quitting. But it's just not an option. And, my kids needed me. They still need me. And I'm the patriarch of the family now. And not only my family, but employing, 450 people. When you're talking about all the crews you're dealing with, all your project managers and all the support staff. And then you take it even further and you think about, from the supplier level, all the people that are employed because you're buying so much material from them. And then you start thinking about how many people you're impacting, and that's a lot of people. And I want to continue to impact.
That's what it is. You understand the responsibility now.
Right.
You understand the responsibility, where maybe before it wasn't quite as clear. You knew it was there, but it wasn't like there. Right.
Right.
Man, that's such a cool story, Garen. It is. I have not forgotten that day. I will never forget that day. Like, you were pale. I was like, oh my God, I feel like you're going to pass out any second. And you're like sweating. And I was like, it was not like, why are you here? Go home. I got this. We can take care of it. And then the hailstorm hits, and it was craziness there.
Well, I was wanting to meet you so bad. That's why I had you in there and everything. And then
we still got that picture. Picture on the wall.
Yes, that's a great one. I need to get another one when you come back out.
Well, hey, anytime, man. You get me out, and we'll go do it. I was just through there a week and a half ago. Came through Kansas City, but I was trucking. I was like, I got to make it home in 2 days. But next time through, I'll stop. We'll check in, and if we want to do some stuff together, it'd be an honor to help out however I can. Cool. Any words of advice? Like, I don't usually do this, but what I would like you to do is say, hey, this is the one most important thing that you need to remember if you are planning to go from little and small to something big. What's the one thing?
The one thing.
I got to boil it down to one.
I would definitely
You're over there, I had 20 going through your head right now.
Yeah. From going to small to big, prioritization of time, focusing the highest, most profitable, and maybe not even profitable at that time. That's
beneficial.
Yes, beneficial. And that means focusing all your time on that. And that means as you grow and you need to delegate, how can you then either be more efficient with your time or increase your productivity by maybe hiring an assistant or, technology, and that way, and then that person, maybe it's one assistant. The next thing you know, you got 2 project managers, 3, and then you always make sure you're in a CRM and tracking everything, all your data. Because you can
that's the other thing about you. You're a numbers guy.
Growing. Yeah.
You're a numbers guy. You're really data driven, data oriented. Why do you think that's so important? Because I've coached for a long time now. I've seen a lot of companies make pretty good money without being like data focused. Now, qualify that. They blow a lot of money too. Right. But why is that such an important part?
Well, because then you can get stats and you can start understanding what is actually your most profitable thing. And then you can also understand stats if you start to slip. Why aren't I doing well anymore? Well, you need to make some adjustments. You need to be able to pivot. And if you don't know, you're not tracking your data, your matrices, then you're not going to know how to improve or how to better improve. You're really just guessing, throwing darts at a board.
Yeah, you start sliding back and you can't identify where. You're like, right. What of the 28 things that we have to do is the one that went haywire, right? Like, right. okay, so maybe it's our sales are down, but is it sales? Could it be our culture that's affecting it? Could it, like, there's a million other things that could actually cause a problem. Are we not getting the right amount of leads? Did leads change? Did the algorithms change on our technology? Like, there's a million different things. If you don't have that data, you're just shooting for the hill. I hope I got it right.
Yeah.
And most of the time, we're off on that. So that is some good sage advice. Garen, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you.
You are one of those guys in the industry, and I don't say this lightly. I have respect for you. This is a hard industry to find that in sometimes, and you definitely fit that mold. And I appreciate what you're doing.
Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate that more than you know, and I carry that with high esteem. And I try to every day put my next foot forward to lead that way for all the people on the team and lead an industry, because I think there needs to be more leaders in this industry for sure.
Yeah, more leaders that do it right. There's lots of leaders, but there needs to be more that just, the consumer is really what this is all about in the end. It's not necessarily how much money can I put in my bank account. And then the people that work for me are more important than that too. So the money is a byproduct of doing it right. I just am a firm believer in that and sustaining it over time. You can do it wrong and make money for a little while, but it's going to catch up with you at some point.
It's not, you can't sustain it. You go and ring the bell and then it's gone. The only way to stay at the top and ring the bell is to have everybody else up there with you.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. Hey, Garen, I'm gonna put you back in the green room for a minute and close out. Can you hold on for a second afterwards?
Sure.
All right. Awesome. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. If guys wanted to reach out to you, is that okay?
Absolutely. Sure. They can reach out to me at Garen at shamrockroofer.com, or text me at 913-991-8858.
Wow, he gave out the phone number. Okay, I hope guys that didn't stay for the end, they barely messed up right there. And I have one suggestion for you. You need to change your logo to 4 leaves.
Yes.
You are one lucky man. There is no doubt about it. Is it 4? Is it 4?
Yeah.
What? Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, it's the double leaf.
It does look like 3. Yeah.
You got to rub that thing all the time.
There, honestly. Yeah.
You got to rub that thing all the time.
Yeah.
No, very cool, man. Very cool. Thanks for being here. And we'll probably have a show in the future and find out how things are going.
Yes, would love to.
All right. Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
All right, everybody. That was Garen Armstrong with Shamrock Roofing. What a story. I mean, seriously, I think a lot of people in the same situation would probably have given up. But there is also this side of us that when it really gets bad, we fight harder. And that's nothing that we can't say about Garen. A guy fought really hard, not just for recovering from a new heart, but fought for his business, fought for his people. And he's out there fighting for lots of folks and having a huge impact. So I'm super happy to have him on the show. If you're looking to grow your business, you're trying to get out of the rut that you're in, you're trying to break through a ceiling, you're tired of chasing your tail and making the same mistakes over and over and never getting anywhere, and you really do want to get some control of your business so you can grow it and get to that lifestyle that you want and impact people the way you want, reach out to us. There'll be a link in the show notes on this for our contractor assessment. Just click that link, take that assessment, and we'll do a free coaching call with you, a real coaching call, not a sales pitch. We're going to coach you based off of that assessment on the 2 or 3 things that you could do right away that would improve your business. If you like coaching and want to work with us, great. That's awesome. We'd love to have you. But if you don't, at least we served you well that day and we made the industry a little bit better that day. And hopefully we've had an impact on you in a positive way. Thanks for being here on Contractor Radio. We'll see you on our next episode.